Day 2 as we kick off the FACEIT Major live from London. We've had so very many games of Counter-Strike already, 7 to be precise, and already some teams starting to pull away from the pack, others looking to reset, rejuvenate and come back stronger. MSL knows all about that. Anyway, let's get into this one. It's our second day and introductions are in order. I'm your host, Alex Machine Richardson, and we have a delightful cast of players who have attended their fair share of events themselves, now taking a break to talk to us and hopefully help us understand the Counter-Strike to come. I do have none other than Jacob Pimp Vinegar, who found his clothes, or at least bought some new ones.
I bought some new.
Bought some new ones after a lost suitcase debacle. And we've stolen Daps from NRG for a moment to shed some insight on Counter-Strike. How was your first day? Stressful?
Yeah, it was a little bumpy to say the least,
For sure.
there's some things that are out of people's control, and unfortunately all that kind of happened at once.
Yeah, essentially a combination of every possible issue that could occur entirely out of their control happened.
Hopefully it gets better.
Yeah, you can only go up. And in fact, we actually are going to be covering the last game that was due to be played yesterday, today, as we've resolved some of those tech issues. It was Astralis versus Complexity, and that's where our attention is going to be drawn. A quick reminder, though, before we do get involved, that you guys can tweet along and let us know what you're watching, how you're watching, and everything in between. Just hit us up with the hashtag FACEIT Major. Nice and easy to remember, even though I nearly forgot it. Hashtag FACEIT Major.
You did it, Alex.
I did it. And what I want to know is, what can you tell me about this one? Because I can't help but feel we haven't got the closest of games ahead of us, Daps.
Yeah, it's going to be an uphill battle for Complexity for sure, but it's not impossible. The two maps that Complexity really wants to try and get is Mirage and Inferno. I don't think Astralis is going to let Mirage through. They've been pretty shaky on it, losing to Tyloo in that one map in the best of 3.
Yeah.
So I think there's a chance for Inferno to come through. Obviously a very good map for Astralis as well. So I think Complexity has a chance. It's just the one player I want to see perform is Ye, because Ye seems to sort of carry this team, and whenever he plays really well, they seem to get to a new level, and whenever he plays really bad, they seem to sort of drop off a cliff.
And we'll take a closer look at Complexity in a few moments. For now, though, I want you guys to understand the format of how things are going so far. This is, of course, you can see Rogue picking themselves up the first win, NIP. We saw Tyloo pick up their first win, and of course, Big Clan doing their thing as well. Vega Squadron picked themselves up a win, and that overtime game with North was intense as hell, Jacob.
It really was. There was some close games yesterday, and also unexpected close games. I do believe that we all had North as the heavy favorites against Hellraisers, even though you said that Hellraisers could end up winning the game. So It's great to see that teams are here to play, and teams are here with a high level of Counter-Strike already. Yeah,
4 days of best of ones, now just 3 ahead of us. And I want to take a look at Astralis, a team that maybe you may think don't need any introductions, but we're going to do it anyway. The Danish superstars who've had their fair share of reality checks, actually, in their most recent offline adventures.
Yeah, it wasn't too good at Stockholm. It was not like Astralis had a bad tournament by any means. They ended up second, right? So finishing second at a big international event can't be described as bad, but when you're used to Astralis winning every single game they're playing, then it was a little bit of a wake-up call, especially the way they lost. It didn't seem as dominant, it didn't seem as determined, and they were just slacking a little bit here and there. I will say, though, that it came after a player break. It's after a period where they took some time to rest after winning all those tournaments. Winning is also tough sometimes, Alex.
Yeah, and holding that top spot is not easy. I mean, is it something you've put thought into, Daps, as why top teams don't stay at the top forever?
I think Astralis is so consistent just because all 5 of their players are on the same page pretty much all the time, and I think they also have a higher work ethic than a lot of teams. Even their players that I think I saw Magisk has his own notebook, and he's not even an in-game leader. He has his own notes on other teams. So that's something that a lot of players that aren't IGLs even do.
There's a desire to win, unlike anyone else. This is the Danish roster, the device on that AWP. Dupree, who's found that star status once again. Glaive, the in-game leader and brains behind there. Brawn, and rounding it out as well, you have Zipnix, the clutcher, of course, Mr. Mid-round, and also that turret, Jacob, that we can always count on.
Always count on. He's the rock of this team, and he's been playing well as of lately. The entire Astralis team, if you look over the past 6 months, has just been on another level. It's the way they play the game, it's the way they bounce off each other, and as you said, you know, the determination to win. When you have a guy like Magisk who has his own notebook, you know he wants to just go in there and frag. You know he wants to know what he's going up against, and that's a smart thing to do, because he has certain positions he's playing, he knows who's going up against on those certain positions, so why not do the research and make sure that you're absolutely ready for everything that comes comes to you.
Yeah, and you know, they've done their research. Have you, Dabs? I mean, what can you tell us about Complexity? I think it's actually, it wouldn't be rude for us to say that we don't know as much about them because we don't get to watch that Tier 2 North American Counter-Strike as much.
So Complexity is an interesting team. I think Stanislaw even said it in an interview yesterday. I think they do have the correct roles and the right pieces. The big question is can these players ascend essentially to the next level? And I think all of them have the potential. I think Android's a very, very highly skilled player. I almost sort of compare him to like a Rush in a way.
Okay.
And Ye as well. I think Ye is their X factor. Ye is sort of, I don't want to say he's like a NAF, but I think he is in a way where if Ye can find that consistency and always reach that peak level he can hit, then I think Complexity is a very dangerous team.
So keep our eyes on Ye, Stan. The man as well. I'm excited to see Shazam in this roster as well. He's a player that I've always been very intrigued by because he always just gets close to the tippy top, knocked down again and again, keeps coming back and keeps having those moments of glory that seem synonymous with Shazam.
He's a good player by no doubt. I think it's going to be a rough matchup for him going up against a player like Device. The way Shazam ops is a little bit more loose, I would say. It's a little bit more feeling based, not necessarily as clever as Device. And when you are Device, have the consistency he has and have the brain he basically has, it's going to be tough for Shazam to do anything he's not expecting. So in that sense, I think he's going to have a very rough game. So I definitely agree with you. It has to come from Ye. It has to come from the Riflers. Go up against guys like Magic's Boy, Device, Dupree for that matter is going to be a tough task. But if they can just, play up to a decent level, there's definitely a chance of a close game here.
Yeah, good to see Def here, of course, back on UK soil. I feel like he's an honorary American at this point. He's been over there for so damn long, yeah, representing the UK. And that was, of course, brought to you. This matchup is brought to you by DreamTeam.gg. There's Shazam. We were talking about him earlier. He's had so many different experiments. I mean, if you wanted to recap them, this might be throwing you under the bus here, Daps. But I remember that he was rocking a Cloud9 jersey for a while. Where else has this man been?
Well, it's sort of, at least his journey with me started on, we were called Lunatic, and then we turned into Denial, and then he left for C9, and then I played with him again on Conquest, and then we turned into Optic. So Shazam's played on a lot of teams, and he played with Sean as well for about 1 to 2 years on Misfits.
Misfits,
yes.
That's right.
Yes.
That's the Badger. So he's been around.
He's had a journey.
He has been around, and hopefully he's found his home. And if you listen to Stanislaw, apparently they've got all the key components now. And does that make sense to you, Jacob, when we talk about having the right components in a team? I've heard you so often refer to teams that you're still looking for the right mixture. Does that make sense to have that feeling of we've got the right pieces, we just need to put it into practice?
Yeah, and it's a great feeling to have, and I do agree with Stanislaw on this one. They seem to have the roles lined out. We have Shazam as the orb, you have the Rifles on the team, and you have the guys who are supposed to be the star players. The problem for me with this lineup is that the potential is not that big. You haven't seen too much from guys like Android and Def for that matter. You see them work it out in NA, you see them work it out in FPL sometimes over there, but when it comes from doing it in practice matches and doing it in an environment where it's more chill to go do it on a major stage as a team against a team like Astralis, I think there's a long way for these guys. So roster-wise, yeah, it's fine, but potential-wise, there's a ceiling to this team.
Well, maybe they can go ahead and just shatter that ceiling. We'll bring up the head-to-head so you can see which players have been selected to keep our eyes upon. And you talked about him once, so you're going to talk about him again. Yay, going up against Magisk. Two players you've already mentioned. It's brought to you by the Predator.
Yeah, so not to keep being repetitive.
No, absolutely.
Ye is definitely the make or break it for this team. I think Android, you know what you're going to get with Android. He's fairly consistent, which is good. Shazam as well. He's been very consistent on this team. And whenever Shazam's comfortable on a team, he plays very well. Stanislaw, solid IGL. He's really sort of unleashed these players, and I think his calling style really helps sort of show Ye's play style and help him out a lot.
No, absolutely. And it's kind of interesting when you try and put people in roles. There isn't necessarily always the roles there. I actually saw an interesting comment. I can't remember who it was from. It was from a current competing player.
Cillian, maybe?
It was exactly a Cillian, yeah. And he was talking about, I think it's unhealthy to have these rigid roles in a roster.
It's a fun thing because when I played in 2012, 2013, we never talked about roles. It was just like we had positions on the map and we played those positions. It could be our entry fragger role on one map.
You're a CS player.
I'm a CS player and I have a certain position on a map. Now roles is something that came in when the analysis came in. When the smart guys wanted to talk about Counter-Strike and want to put it down to boxes and make it more easy to understand for people, then that's when roles come in. And there's something to be said about having a role on a team. Definitely there's an in-game leader role, there's the entry fragger role, all that kind of stuff, and you want to make it consistent. But every player should be able to fulfill more than one role, and that's what makes them versatile. That's what makes them more valuable than just a player who can do entry fragging and nothing else.
Yeah, and I think I think roles are a good start. I think if you create a team, it's a lot easier to sort of put people in certain positions.
You mean when you're shopping for players kind of thing?
Not necessarily when you're shopping for players. Well, yeah, in a way, but sort of the way Complexity's been built, I think it's smart to start off with sort of just a very clear-cut system. But I do agree, if you want to reach that Tier 1 level, everyone needs to be able to entry frag when it's needed. Everyone needs to be able to lurk and know how to play post plants. So I think Complexity sort of, yeah, exactly. So I think you see that in most Tier 1 teams, pretty much all Tier 1 teams. So I think Complexity's in that sort of stage where they're trying to reach that next step.
It's just super important you don't limit yourself to one role. Also, as a player out there, if you have any aspirations of becoming a pro, you can't just commit to being an entry fragger. Yeah, you gotta know how to play a post plan. You gotta know how to be a good teammate, a support player in certain given situations, and that's what makes Magic's Boy such a great player, because he's this lurk role, you can say, first of all. Sometimes he does entry-fracking, sometimes he does supporting. He does it all, basically, and that's what makes him so valuable for a team like Astralis.
Yeah, and I'm very, very honored to be able to witness this development, right? Because it is a team that did have their kinks and didn't have the perfect run as this team was formed. Magisk joining a team that he wasn't even necessarily just destined for. A player left the Astralis project, Kirby, who of course has found his success elsewhere, and Magisk just seemed to just light a fire beneath Astralis with his notebook and all.
It was a super great matchup in the sense that a lot of people were doubting him in the beginning because he had some he had some attitude stuff he needed to work on and all that kind of stuff. We all did back in the dating scene. That's just how it is when you're a young player and you have great talent. It's just great to see that he's found his home, and Glaive and the entire Astralis team have been able to help him out. You talked about the map depths. It is going to be Inferno, and I think it's the only chance Complexity have in this matchup. Inferno is a great map for both teams, but again, if you have Astralis, who is #1 in the entire world, going up against Complexity, who arguably is the 4th best NA team maybe right now, it's going to be a super tough matchup for them.
Yeah, I think Inferno is a good map for an upset. I actually remember a long time ago we won a best of 1 versus Astralis, and we had like a 4% chance to win on Inferno.
Okay.
Yeah, so I think there's a chance. There's always a chance in a best of 1. So I think just it's Complexity's 2nd best map, I'd put it. The only scary part is Astralis destroys Liquid on Inferno, and Inferno's Liquid's best map for a long time historically. So I think Complexity really needs. The good thing about Complexity is that they have a lot of good pistol players. Ye, Shazam, and Stanislaw are all very proficient pistol players. So I think that's very necessary.
I just want to probe a little deeper, Daps. He says completely innocently. What I want to know is, what would you be saying in that team huddle? You've been in scenarios like this. You just said you even picked up a win. You just saw Complexity's huddle. You know you're going against Astralis. You know it's Inferno. What words can you be imparting in these last kind of 5 minutes before game time?
I mean, they're definitely talking about the start of the match. Who chose the map? Side choice? I didn't see that.
I didn't see that, I'm afraid.
So they're just talking about whatever side they ended up on. They're talking about the first pit. They're talking about pistol round, obviously. They're going to talk about if they want to force buy or not T side. If they
so it doesn't go too far.
Yeah, I think you generally plan out the first 5 rounds as a good gauge, and then obviously Stanislaw and their coach have a game plan for farther on in the match.
There's been done some preparation as well by the coaches, so if there's anything they need to be aware of, remember the players that, we saw this in the demo, make sure that if this smokes come here or this flash comes here, this is probably going to happen. Remind the players of what they've already seen. It's all about, getting prepared mentally and making sure that every player is on board with what's going to happen.
Yeah, and they don't want to go too far ahead into the match. Usually we just talk about the first half. There's no point talking about the second half yet till halftime. So they want to just completely focus on the first half.
Yeah, the coach might be telling them that, please God, don't catch all those HE grenades because you are all going to take a lot of damage. And I find that so interesting. Inferno in particular for Astralis Daps. Have you taken a closer look at this from a player's perspective, trying to replicate this in any way? They have broken the Inferno CT side meta to the point where they averaged 50 ADR a round with nades alone.
Yeah, we've tried, because we can never beat Liquid on Inferno, and Astralis always beats Liquid on Inferno, so we're like, let's just copy them, but we can't replicate it as well as them.
It's not that easy.
They just sort of have that knack for it.
Yeah, and it does
hard to replicate.
It does sound like, as the huddle comes in, we are going to be jumping away from us and into the commentary booth as they prepare for this game. Astralis versus Complexity. We think it's an open and shut case. What do you think, casters? James and Dan standing by.
It's best of 1, baby. You never know what is going to happen, and Complexity they've got to have nothing to lose in a match such as this, so I'm sure they're coming into it. They were ready for it yesterday. I'm sure they're ready today as well. Welcome to the commentary booth for today. We're going to get things kicked off. Extra game today. Ready for this one, Dan?
Yeah, I think this one could surprise some people. I think Complexity get off to a decent start. I think they have a lot of ability to create some interesting situations. They're a team that's very good on Inferno. I was very surprised with how much they have stepped up. Us having seen them over the last 2-3 years trying to build this project, trying to create this team around Def, in the last year and a half or so. And with Stan coming in, it seems to really click. And Inferno is one of those maps where every team sort of understands that rhythm. If you get the good start, how to really expand upon that. And I don't think Complexity are any different.
Yeah, I think you have to look past the name as well, because obviously, as Dan alluded to, there's been some hardship for Complexity in recent times. But with Stanislaw, I mean, he can make a significant difference, and I'm sure that he will. So I'm very curious to see. And in a best of one, a team such as Astralis, who isn't trying to anti-strat Astralis at the moment? Everyone's going to be doing that. But let us know what you guys think, and you can do that with the Upcomer app. You can take part in the fan votes. Let us know who you think is going to win. You can visit upcomer.com, download it via iTunes or Google Play, and you can get involved and get your votes in as well. I guess I told them that you were going to go with Astralis. I didn't even really...
Yeah, I mean, that's fair enough, isn't it? I would be crazy not to pick Astralis. But I think really, what I was trying to say there is that it's not that necessarily I expect Complexity to win or anything. I think, of course, you have to pick Astralis, but I think that they are capable of delivering a good game here. And I think that the individuals on Complexity, I mean, you've got Shazam's very skilled, Android, Ye as well. Individually, there is quite some firepower on this team. So everyone has their moments. So I'm looking forward to seeing what they bring to the table today. Astralis, they are so used to just setting up at various lands, sitting down and performing. It's very much another day in the office for Astralis. For Complexity, though, I mean, there's two factors. There is they don't quite have that experience that Astralis does, sitting down at so many lands. But they do have this element of if we lose to Astralis, no one can blame us for that. There's a very limited pressure there. No one expects them to win, and that's always a great position to be in when you're a Complexity in this spot.
Let's see if Shazam can deliver. I think earlier on in Shazam's career, Inferno was quite telling in terms of where he was with experience at this level and mistakes being made, but we've seen him grow as a sniper player. Post Cloud9, it's really a different player altogether, but maybe Astralis is the ultimate test. We are about 25 seconds away from the beginning of this match. Astralis will be starting on the CT side. For those of you in GoTV, okay, every Astralis game, I am going to recommend that you watch Zipex's POV for the entire match, no matter what is going on. If he's on B and everything's happening on A and vice versa, I would say watch Zipex the entire time, because I think from a point of view of a player who doesn't play at a professional level, watching his decision making and how he contributes to his team in all situations is massively rewarding. Even if all the action is on A, you still have to think about what he's doing on B, for example, or vice versa, why he's doing it, why he isn't rotating or is rotating, all that stuff. So for those of you in GoTV, I would say watch Zipex the entire match.
He is very methodical. Right, Astralis starting off on that CT side indeed, and Complexity opting to go with a couple players with grenades here, and I like that, quite cool. Just a little stack there at the bottom of Banana on this sheer angle. If there is to be a peak, they get a really favorable engagement. But Astralis, they don't want to do any such thing. They are just waiting quite passively for Complexity, and this is a good way to start off your CT pistol in a best of one format. Just play it safe and see what your opponents are up to. Zipex gets some information. He's going to fall back a bit, and he's going to be able to get a boost there from Glaive. But what are Complexity doing here? They are just making things a bit more obscure for Astralis. After showing themselves, they're waiting a bit. They're not really showing anything else. At this point, Astralis have very limited information.
Complexity moving towards A with 5 players now. Interesting angle from Device. I'm sure he'll peek with a timing. So he is not holding the angle 100% of the time. He's peeking every few seconds, and we may see Complexity look towards Arch, see no one, then go towards Short, and he shoots him in the back of the head. Unfortunately, the jiggle peek was timed well for Complexity, and here they come, but Magic's Boy is holding things down in a pit position, running out of bullets. He would have had a free kill there, tries to get a reload in, but Android will stop him. 3 versus 3 as they try to get the bomb down, but it's still in the pit.
Yeah, Magis did a great job there. Imagine if he wasn't able to do that. It would be a 5v3 here. But he's given Astralis a very nice chance moving into this retake. Glaive has a smoke grenade as well, but so did Complexity. Stanislaw, though, with the backstab, and the silenced USP is going to give him a lot of room for error, but Device turns around and it just takes him down. Clothesline maneuver there from Device as Astralis finish up the round, and they will get a defuse in with plenty of time. It's a great retake from them. Device looking pretty on point this early morning. What day is it, James? Is it Thursday? It's Thursday or Friday?
I don't know, but I just noticed I forgot to take my pass off before we went live on the camera.
Yeah, I saw that. I thought it looked very nice.
Yeah, it's
went very well with the dress shirt.
Contrasting with the colours.
Yeah, no fashion faux pas for you.
Yeah. So, as you saw there, because I know all of you in GoTV were watching Zipex, had to make a play through the smoke with good timing with his teammate. So much to learn already. Right then, let's see what Complexity choose to do. The bomb was planted in the first round. Sometimes you will see a surprise buy, but they've given Astralis enough respect, so the odd pistol will be purchased for this round. That tries to do some economical damage. There's absolutely value in getting 1 or 2 kills here, whether they plant the bomb or not. And as these eco rounds come through later on and Astralis have the M4s and so on, those kills become even more expensive to the CT side. We're talking like $5,000–6,000. So lots of value to be had in just getting 1 or 2 kills here for Complexity. But of course, that won't be the easiest task in the world. Device abusing the range of the M4A4. You see how he changes his position as well between each kill. So if they say, okay, he's close to the left, he's near the corner, or he's facing the immediate angle, he changes it up, so he tries to avoid getting pre-fired. Small tidbits there, and now the AK's come out for Complexity.
You're going to start calling him the Professor, James, maybe? You know, you learn so much from him, you study him.
Zipex?
Yeah. Could be a good nickname, the Professor.
I'm not feeling it. Wow. I'll be honest, I'm not feeling it.
Rejected. Denied. Well, this is a great start for the Danes. However, Complexity are brandishing these lovely AK-47s at the moment. Dupree. They well-timed smoke, but maybe not well-timed enough. It looks like Complexity just darts straight through it. Magisk is happy, though. Gets himself 4 with ease. My goodness.
So, some of you may be wondering what just happened. And basically, if at the beginning of that round, Astralis had 3 people towards the B bomb site, and I have to assume that is a hard read from Complexity that on the first buy round, Astralis, you can see on the radar, 3 people towards B. It has to be a hard read that they're going to make a play with 3 people towards B and they're going to use the numbers game towards the A site. No flash for a burst play or something. The smoke was well timed for Astralis and allowed them to have a much easier time of things. So it looked really bad, and maybe it could have been executed better, but you can see the intention was there from Complexity. Must have been an expectation of 2 people. Let's play the numbers game. Unfortunately, they're playing against Astralis, and you need more than numbers.
You certainly do. Magis looks really good today so far, and obviously a player that's really developed so well, fitting into this system. The newest edition, of course. Zipex with some nice spray through the smoke there. We've got 1. Glaive wants some as well, and he's going to get some. Here comes the rest of Complexity, looking to try to trade onto these players. They'll be successful against Glaive, but Zipex is still alive and kicking with that AK, and he's going to clean up the rest of these players with the P250 out right at the end for the cheeky ace. Lovely start for him, as now Astralis are 4-0, and Complexity will now be back on the bye.
Statistics. That was worth looking back on a demo as well, because the way the 3 players of Astralis played that out, because I think after the first play went down, Zipex was dealing with people, and even with the pistol, the 3rd player was just shoulder peeking, maybe using a bait setup. And here we are, 4-0. Nice stats round for Zipex. Nuisance Molotov to stop the early advancement. And that goes so deep, it stops them running up banana as well, in a way that they might like to, which allows the Pirates to get into position earlier, starting with 2 towards B this time, but Glaive is starting to make his way over. Complexity won't be walking up mid on this occasion. Perhaps they've been taught to show some more respect to Astralis. Ooh, Shazam!
Close. He's a lucky boy. minute 15, and Complexity will have themselves top mid and trying to burst that balcony, but Magisk is still alive on the bomb side. The bomb is down. Android will scalp him as Glaive turns the corner towards Arch side, assisted by Zipex there to control things as best they can, but the bomb will still go down in the meantime. And Android and Def have to defend it against 3.
Def has a flash, but does he dare pull it out? They don't know what the status is towards the arch position, so he may not feel like he can. 2 players. Oh, Android's going huge here. Glaive's the only one that remains. Does he know where he is? He does now. And now they can play a 2 versus 1 if they want to, but Android goes back to the well again, and Glaive's just waiting patiently. Gets 2 1v1s, and that is round number 5 for Astralis.
Oh, that's such a difficult spot for Def. You have to give it to Android, though. That almost looked like he was going to get the 3, the triple there, the sweep. That was amazing just to see how on point he is so early today. However, Def, in a really difficult spot there, do you try to peek, do you try to catch the other player, catch Glaive moving forwards, where you have an engagement advantage, or do you wait?
Yeah, I think Def threw a flash. I heard a flashbang go off, which is probably why he peeked there, because otherwise the alternative is you wait for him to get past the hay bales. Def peeks him from sight. Then he's got nowhere to hide, and it's an instant 2 versus 1. So didn't quite work out there for Complexity, which is unfortunate for them. And Astralis are off to a rip-roaring start. 2 players yet to frag on the Complexity side. Hello, Henry.
I mean, this is where it gets dangerous too, right? I mean, Astralis, they're off to a really good start. Everyone is firing off. Complexity, they're going to be up against, and Astralis has a lot of money if things continue going this way. And that's a scary prospect. And Astralis are a great team when they're in these best-of-1 series, when they are in a position to have all these advantages and all this control. Because all you have to do is, much like James was saying about Zipex, just watch how they play these advantages. They play very tight. And good flash from Complexity to force Device off the angle, so they will gain some small amount of map control here.
You saw a delay in the shot from Device, expecting a delay in the peak from Complexity to avoid the faster shot with a flash, because he knows they expect him to be there. But anyway, Magic's boy gets picked off trying to rotate to double stack. And the B bomb site is very exposed now. Glaive just keeping an eye on top mid for the time being, waiting for the rotation to come in. And now there's a smoke down on Arch, which will allow the CTs to approach in a safer fashion. But there are more smokes to deploy, so a retake here might be awkward despite the numbers, and indeed, Astralis will think better of it. 4 versus 5 with only the Arch area. It would be very costly indeed, so they will give Complexity their first round.
Yeah, I mean, it seems like Complexity, they ended up picking the perfect way to play that round. Obviously, looking at Magic's position, he was caught. Usually with these professionals on the CT side, it's not going to be super common that you're going to catch them, rotating from position to position where they're very, very weak, unless you've created a situation where they have a misread. And so it almost seemed like that, where Magisk was, caught out, thinking that there wouldn't be players that could just pop out of balcony like that, considering that the rest of Magic's teammates were rotating towards B. Astralis thinking that it was going to be a B play, and they were mistaken. And there's nothing you can do in that 5v4, so they just, of course, go for that save. So really nice from Complexity. However, again, that round, despite Complexity winning it, didn't really serve to do much to weaken the economy of Astralis, which will be a constant issue.
Yeah, I mean, Astralis, if they got wiped out, they could buy up anyway. They had $25,000 of equipment saved at the end of that round, and as you can see now, they're on 32, so that's pretty much one person's buy, and the odd grenade here and there. So that has given them an extra buy in not trying to even invest one player, see if they get something, and then trying to go in more. It just saves with 4 players, and it's all good in the hood. Complexity now. Can they get a consecutive round on the board? 5 AKs for the time being. Inferno is not really the sexiest map to snipe on the T side of.
I like the double HE detail there onto the pit position. Oh dear, that's a poor Shazam. Oh no, that's very surprising for him. Really nice nade there, and Astralis know what's going on right now. They have had so much information on the map with that banana control previously. They've worked out where Complexity are moving. They are rotating players now, but will they be there in time? There's a small window here where Complexity could potentially take an advantage if they were to burst onto this bomb site and take down Magisk immediately. Let's see if they can do it in this 4v4.
Will they wait for Stanislaw? He's moving up the arch position. That would allow them to split the sites, and now Astralis have been forced to move all the way back. Glaive rotating now from the B bomb site. Stanislaw spotted. He's blind, and maybe the library player can take him out. In the meantime, there's fights on the site, and Manchester will get picked off, leaving Glaive and Zipex out of position once again in that arch area. 2 versus 3. 2 of these players heavily tagged for complexity. But what can Astralis do with what they have?
It's definitely a tough one. Not much in the way of utility to aid this push, and we're in a really good position. That's a beautiful peek coming in from Glaive, though. That will make the burden slightly lighter as they move forwards. But Glaive, he's known. Ye will deal with him, and Zipex with 20 points of health. The best player is to save the AWP as he now darts back into safety. And Complexity pick up another round. Really nice from them on this T side, finding a way to really push Astralis into these horribly deep positions on the bomb site, and then abusing it with those with the utility, isolating them, and then taking them down. Complexity looking quite good, despite this really strong start from Astralis. The Complexity are absolutely fighting back and playing their T side as they want to.
Yeah, that was a very expensive round. I do wonder if Glaive wanted to save in that 2 versus 3, but obviously he had to fight to the death from his position, and that gave them a window to go for it. Didn't work out, but the AWP was saved, which will be some extra money for Astralis, but this is going to be a very expensive buy indeed. They will average $3,000 in the hole, which is very important for Complexity to try and picture as they move forward to have expectation. Shazam now with an AWP of his own. Stanislaw traded a kill from Device in the previous round, maybe outstaying his welcome, peaking top mid. So perhaps now with the money starting to run low for Astralis, we will see safer plays from the Danish squad. This may be a more difficult round to win for Complexity, with less brazen play from the Danes. However, they are looking aggressive on Banana, trying to force the T's out, but they're still towards that tree position. Ye will get taken out, and maybe Astralis will be happy with that for the time being.
Yeah, I mean, little did they know. Maybe they do. It is Astralis after all. They almost got 2 kills there. They were very, very close, of course, to killing Death with the double HE. And that's sort of how the grenades work. You throw those control grenades on Banana, and there's only so many places the T's can stand. So it's a pretty good bet that if you throw 2 HEs there, that you will catch a T. And with so much damage done, they fall back happily onto the bomb site. Complexity will just go for this one. They're going to have to do this with raw firepower. Glaive will take down the first. And there's not too much left here now for Complexity. Glaive still standing on the bomb site in the 1v1, and he'll deal with it very well.
Shut it down.
6-2 now for the Danes.
Yeah, so again, just watching the radar from the round prior when Device got that pick on Shazam, but then I think he was just still standing in the middle of top mid, but again, with more conservative play, it is a different story. So the run of success is stopped for Complexity, at least for the time being, and you'll soon see what it's done to their money, although a tactical timeout is being made. Shazam's bought an AK, and okay, more AKs are coming out. I think Stanislaw had 6k. So we'll see what kind of buy Complexity have in the bag. Yesterday, I went to see both these teams while we were waiting in the evening. And Complexity got their MS Paint game on point. Shazam had a image full of inspirational messages. I was quite surprised. He invited me over and said, "What do you think of who's got the best MS Paint art here?" So you might see that in there. I know they have the vlogs when they're on the road, so you'll probably see that in one of them. Nice group of guys. Shazam, somebody who's matured somewhat.
It's a checkered past.
Yeah. Everyone's growing up. Apart from Tamir.
Ooh. So much done by grenades here so far from Astralis' perspective. They've got Banana control Device, of course, pressuring down onto the pit area as well, looking for another pick onto somebody. Shazam's no longer there this time, but oh my goodness, Stanislaw sure as hell is, and that's going to be a quick pick from Device.
Smooth. That was absolute custard.
And you need your numbers on the T side in this round.
You do indeed. 2 of these 4 players still on pistols for Complexity. There's a chunky grenade to make life worse. But here comes a push from some of these tees. We've got a smoke grenade to create space. The bomb's being dropped on the sides, and it's all blue frags. Not a single play lost for Astralis. Complexity took a gamble with the force buy, and it did not pay off at all. No frags, no bomb plant, and now they head into Eco Town. The struggle bus has pulled up to the stop.
Yeah, it's tough, isn't it? It's one of those spots too where the other team's playing, so well. It can be difficult sometimes not to get just ever so slightly disheartened with what you're doing. And I think in the rounds where we've seen Complexity sort of run their game, it's gone pretty well. They've had some good results. Picking up those 2 rounds in the way that they did. And could hold that fort because Dupree, he wants some eco frags. He's pushing through to second mid. And he's going to get his eco frags. 3 kills with the AK. Very nice, very nice.
Nice.
And this round will be over pretty soon here. Stanislaw will quickly inspect the flowers. They all have been watered sufficiently.
There are flowers all over the place. I'm still sad that you can't jump into the tree on Banana like you could on old Inferno. It was nice. It was a place of comfort. In a cold world, Dan, sometimes you need to climb a tree. Now, some may think, oh, why doesn't he just run and die? He's got a P250. But again, 1 kill is worth about $6,000 here. I mean, almost exactly, with just over 30,000 carried by the Astralis team. Excuse me. And that's really important. 1 frag with a P250 can mean so much.
Yeah, you always want to be of the mindset too. What is the best? What is the best amount of value I can get from this situation, and how do I achieve that? And you go for that, and that's like being in that mindset is really important. Even in spots where there's very little you can probably do, you need to be consistent with that mindset. What is the best decision here? Speaking of money, Astralis' money is getting out of control. My goodness, Device straight through. Once again, that pressure into apartments yielding more results. He is looking quite scary at this point now in the game. Please don't give him another one. They're going to give him another one, James.
Oh,
down
that's a bad miss. That compromises his position. He immediately gets out of there. So again, no brazen play needed. 8-2. Don't need to take risks that are wholly unnecessary. Smoke's gone the wrong way. Eat it, fall back. Complexity taking it slow. See some jump peaks from Glaive. Got to be careful, and that's going to be an awkward one. He has to take the fight, and does Ye continue to charge through? He does. He expects Glaive to be on his own, and he's not wrong. Charging towards construction, and maybe a fight there, but that's good damage from Zipex as he tries to hold on to real estate for his team. Device still in mid, Android still at the bottom of mid, and now the bomb is coming in as well. Android was just picked off by Device in mid. Look at that grenade, that was perfect! And the follow-up from Zipex, and this was on 6 HP.
What can you do? What can you do? Pretty much every position they're trying to take as well. Can see Shazam being forced out as his teammates are picked off around him. Not a good spot to be in. He's got to be perfect with this AK, and he doesn't even get a chance to shoot. Ye will also be of a similar fate as the round is picked up by Astralis. They are looking so good right now. They are flying.
Can we just talk about those grenades? I need to. This is juicy demo value, because we saw a Molotov into the pool area, which stops a very strong position post-plant for the T's. Then we saw a HE grenade onto the coffins. Then we saw Zipex spraying the coffins through a smoke. Stanislaw, I don't think that anyone saw him, and he had 6 HP for the most part, and then got finished off very easily indeed. First bullet wins in that case. So we've seen outstanding use of utility by Big already in this major, but of course Astralis are no stranger to good use of grenades, but that was really awesome to see. They maim and maim and maim, and then the Lions come in with a 4-man rush to just bite the heads off. It's really awesome. They're really getting so much efficiency out of their grenades to just make their life easier on the duels. Like, how do you duel with 6 HP? Not very easily.
Yeah, absolutely. It's very tough here for Complexity. One thing too is that it's going to be difficult to find a consistent quality of opponents to practice against, such as Astralis, because Astralis do so much, as James says, in the way of creating just very efficient scenarios that it takes a huge amount of effort to get to that level. Of course, this is why they're touted as the best in the world. And so, how do you prepare against that? You can watch as many demos as you want, but there is an element of just physical experience, tangible experience that you need in the server against them, and it's hard to replicate that with practice partners and opponents that you may routinely find when you're preparing for a tournament. So when you then face them in the server, there's all these sorts of considerations that you have to deal with. Maybe that you're getting shot from angles which you haven't been shot from before, at timings which you haven't had to deal with before, and the same can be said from the kinds of nades that are being used against you. So there's a lot for Complexity to try to adjust to in this one map against Astralis. And so far for Astralis, it's a fun time. That is for certain. It's got to feel really good for Astralis, just playing your routine, doing your drills, communications on point clearly, and everything's working out.
Pistols for Complexity. Astralis starting with 3 towards B. Easy take of Banana, but there's a smoke higher up now, and Ye will start to move into position. But that means Flame Carpet, Dormammu Games. Back out again, away you go. And with about minute 20 on the clock, Astralis take Banana. That's painful. Zipex has a smoke grenade, so they can really cut the timing here. Does he? Ooh. Glaive got caught with the jump peaks. Complexity trying to pick the right timing to move around these corners, play the close quarters advantages. 2 CTs here now. Glaive spotting, got to get back though. Smoke's there from his teammate, he can look over that smoke. He's got a nice position, but he's got much to do. Only 2 kills for him, and now this is winnable for Complexity.
Yeah, pick up those guns and make their way onto the bomb site through cover of smoke. Bomb down, some extra money and an extra kill too. Device being found by Shazam, and now the chances are starting to drop significantly for Astralis. A simple rush from Complexity. Who would have thought that could have been a solution for them? It's very hard to know. And right now for Astralis, it's just about doing damage, controlling these Complexity players, making sure that they don't take these guns into the next round if they can possibly help it. And Magisk by the well, and that's where he will fall. So Shazam creating an avenue where his teammates can escape to safety, and they'll keep the AWP and 2 M4s. That is a great result for them. A great boon to their economy. Astralis, of course, everyone's almost on max money, so for them it doesn't matter too much. Wow, Zipit's going down easy.
Zeds.
Yeah.
75.
And Glaive did a pretty good job to get 2 there, actually, from his position against CZs. That's very hard to get 2.
Yeah, to have to move your mouse around so much from close bottom left to up bottom right, and then just all over the place, and control your spray. Easy with the M4A4, but still, it's a very tall order with the numbers game of Complexity. And now they're in a much better situation, but you see some frustration from Shazam. Clearly, Complexity have prepared for this. Again, I think that was very telling from that first buy round, as bad as it ended up for them. So they expect more of themselves from this. These best of ones are where you can really capitalize on your prep. Continuation spray from Magisk. Hello.
Oh,
Not expecting a second player there.
Now, there's a previous round where Complexity lost Shazam at the beginning of the round, and they were still able to win it with an A push. Oh, got to be so careful here against Device. He wants blood, and he's going to get it. Ye found, Ye fragged. Device looking for more as well. Hello. Just jumping back with the knife, disengaging. Good timing from Shazam. So 3 versus 4. 55 seconds on the clock. That's a good amount of time to try to leverage this situation into an advantage. But look at Magisk. He's going walkabouts here in apartments, being very active. Love this.
Ooh, Boiler is going to be rich of it. Oh, they've thrown the bomb on the floor. That's so much information. Shazam won't be spotted. Look at that peek from Dupree. That's absolutely monstrous. And now Shazam is alone. 29 seconds left. 1 versus 4. Does he just commit to his own doom here with the AWP, or does he try to save it? They're going to be looking for him. He's going for damage. A quick shoulder peek, and the bait is there. Dupree with the superior angle. The timing of that bomb being thrown on the floor was huge. And I mean, it depends on what you want to do when you've only got 3 players left. If you're going to peek away from your other teammates, then fair enough to give the bomb to somebody else. But dropping it on the floor, if you've got a player on the site, it gives them so much information. That is something you would rarely see in that situation. And honestly, I mean, it's not often I think you'll see. Again, if you drop a gun on the floor, it makes the same noise. So you will sometimes see a fake, but for me that was a lot of information given to the CT side, but the timing was extra brutal for Complexity because of the position in absolute Astralis.
Yeah, look at this push again. Dupree's is going really aggressive. He loves it, and he's got Device to back him up. Oh my god, that was incredible. So quick, and a nade to follow up. It is a brilliant combo from Device to finish off the remainder of Complexity. Just Android left. That was such a... I mean, it's like a pixel shot.
It's such a fast correction.
Yeah.
Such a... with a sweeping motion with the AWP. It looks so beautiful as well.
Yeah.
And I would say it's harder than it looks to strafe cancel and make that correction as well. That is a man who is in tune with his sniper rifle.
And to have reactions to that quick as well, you know, he's visualizing as well, like pretty heavily, like his brain knows, like he's visualizing the spots in which, you know, as James says, you can kind of take that pre-fire sort of angle, but then it's a question of...
Oh, Zipex has an auto sniper down. When do you see this?
Yeah, 11-3 up, and you've got 16k, James.
This is... I don't think I've ever seen Zipex. Okay, his teammate has just brought the rifle to him. So those are basically warning shots. If you come this way, we've got a surprise for you. But in fact, it will be equipped with much more nimble weaponry. Very interesting, but Complexity will focus the last round of the first half, and they only have CZ to offer.
So back out for that AK, of course. And Complexity have found some success with the bursts, but Astralis have fortified this A-bomb site. 3 players around this quad position. Quad pit and balcony. It's going to be very difficult. Device will miss a shot, but maybe that will bait Complexity into their doom. One more on Device. How much more can he get? Only the one, but he's got, again, Magis to help cover, as well as Dupree, and there'll be more than enough to finish off the round and the first half. 12-3 for Astralis.
What can you really do against a setup like that? Again, Device looked like he was at the point of no return with the AWP, but he has a guy in pit to cover him. If he goes close to the wall, then you've got a bait set up there, and then you've got another guy in the corner as well. So really, really nice stuff from Astralis. Looking very hard to defeat on Inferno at the moment. Again, Complexity do look like they have prepped for this, but that prep was only good for 3 rounds in that half.
Yeah, it's difficult. Astralis just played such a high level of gaming, and the efficiency that they display as well, and even against an opponent in which they absolutely feel better than and just have so much confidence over, we're not seeing them overextend. You know, there's so many rounds where, you know, some other teams who are winning by a large margin might try to take liberties. Astralis just play with discipline. And moving into this pistol now, we aim to see even more of that. Ye will get some information, seeing all the players running up second mid. I like this from Complexity, trying to meet these Ts before they get up to top mid and see if they can get some frags. And it is not going all that well here for Complexity. 2 players left now, and Astralis with a minute and a half left. They can go anywhere on the map, and that's so dangerous.
It's slowing it down, the T side. Androids is in an awkward position, but Dupree's unlikely to peek him anytime soon from the balcony because he would be so exposed across the A site. Now moving into mid, not seeing anything. And Device might spot him if he peeks mid again. So it's really a question of timing as to who's going to get what information because they're all moving around. Magis Boy standing in second mid with the bomb. Hello, goodbye. There's 1 player taken out. So that's half the information, though, for Astralis. Now, whereas Stanislaw, they've just spotted him. What do they choose to do with this information? Magisk has a gamble to make. Repositioning. Ooh, Android. Does he peek deep? There's so many different things that could happen. We just got to wait and see. Device slowly walking up. Goes for a fast peek. Doesn't see anything top mid. Magisk Boy has walked past him. Device is doing the baiting now with the sound cues. There's Android, but there's no cues yet for Magisk. However, Stanislaw is starting to rotate, but he's keeping an eye on B just in case they have no idea. With 23 seconds, Magisk Boy can't really go into apartments to hunt for the kill. He's got to go for the bomb plant.
He does have that P250 and a smoke and a flash. This is very doable here for Magisk. A 1v2 clutch. waiting for his opponents to arrive. They don't know. I don't think they have any idea actually where he is. I don't think he made any sound cues that were audible. Android, if there was to be a sound cue to abuse, it would be him that has it. We'll see. Doesn't look like they have the information. They're checking the bomb site. Magisk, he's going to get one good opportunity here. He's got to be good, but oh my god, Android's just way too quick. And they'll get the defuse. But at least, he secured the bomb plant. So that's money in the bag for Astralis. And they have two options. They could force buy with it and have a very scary round with lots of utility and CZs, or they could just save for the AKs in the following round. Both are good options.
When it's a 2v2, that round could end in so many different ways, just depending on who comes across who. But Complexity, they win the pistol. A much-needed pistol round for them after Astralis won the first one. Now, can they string the rounds together? Astralis, of course, planted the bomb. You saw the smoke was left in the site, quietly walked away, but Complexity played slow enough for that smoke grenade not to be a factor. And now, here they are. Not much invested for Astralis, just PT50s, really. And again, any kill here has big value for Astralis. Armor does not come cheap for Complexity.
They find Complexity really need to hold on to everything. Let's see if they're able to do it. Here comes the burst up top mid, and a couple kills coming in from Astralis. That's already a great result. And oh my god, it's going to get even better for them. They can plant the bomb, they can pick up guns, they could win the round at this point. That would be devastating for Complexity as they make their way up towards top middle. And there is ample time here to get into post-plant positions for Astralis to make this as good as possible. And Zipex will have a good first engagement, spots both players, and now they can play the crossfire. This will be very hard for Complexity.
Device has a Molotov as well, which he's picked up. And that's going to just delay the time. Stanislaw has a kit, smoke into the Molotov, but now they've got to push through the smoke. That could be suicide as a pop flash, though. And Zipex gets taken out in a 2 versus 1. So close, Device dancing around the box. Stanislaw low, Stanislaw gone. Astralis with an opportunist play on short. They only had 4 P250s in that round.
That is incredible. Again, just a testament to how strong just good timing can be on your peaks. Having that man come out of balcony just to finish off the player on quad just in the nick of time was everything there for Astralis. And now Complexity completely crushed in their economy. Have to force buy, have to put it all on the line in this round with that force buy. And they're against a full set of rifles and utility here from Astralis. Not a good look here for Complexity, but let's see if they've got any shenanigans, any tricks up their sleeves to try to make this situation a bit easier. Astralis will take Banana, force out some of the little utility that Complexity have to work with. And Astralis can take their time now and just see if they can find one of those risky plays that Complexity will likely go for in this round.
So nice to see Complexity back at the Major.
Yeah, that's very true.
It's really, really awesome. FAMAS onto Ye. And Astralis are exhausting what little utility Complexity have. Moving through the apartments with confidence. They know that the equipment is limited here for Complexity. Cheeky peek from Device. Hope you guys are still watching Zipex on the Go TV. Although I think there's more value on the CT side. But he's just a man to watch. He is just a man to watch. Shazam now moving towards the B bomb site from Arch, which has been smoked off. Gamble's being taken by Complexity. They have no information towards Banana, no information towards top mid. They hear presence on A. And now Stanislaw's going back towards A, as is Shazam. Ye getting picked off, but how many players did he see? Just the one. And there goes Android as well. 5 players now moving into the A site for Astralis.
Dupree just having an easy time with those entries. It's been great to see. I think for all of us that have been around watching Counter-Strike for quite some time, I think it's just generally quite satisfying having seen or seeing now just all of the Astralis players doing so well, because I think if you go back to the core with Zipex, with Device and Dupree, from years ago, from TSM or however far back you want to go, we always knew that there was such incredible potential for those individuals, but they just couldn't quite reach, and there was a lot of hurdles along the way, whether it was having to swap in-game leaders or whether it was a psychology issue. It's so rewarding to now see them after that struggle
That's
manage
a nice
to make
shot.
it to the title of the consensus as the best team in the world. But can they win this major, James? Last major, I think FaZe were considered like it was their time. And they were not able to take the trophy. But now it's Astralis' time. Can they make it a positive storyline?
CS is so competitive.
Yep.
I mean, obviously they are the team to watch, the team to learn from. But when you've got teams like Liquid out there as well.
Yeah, Liquid is so exciting.
It's not going to be easy for anybody to win this major. No
So
penalty shootouts. Got to do it the hard way. Yeah, it's going to be awesome. Complexity now. I mean, when you are against 14 rounds and you've got less than 5 rounds of points, and you've got to just play an eco round, it is just the absolute worst. Because now you have to win every single round. Which, I mean, like, you can eco and play out with some guns, or you can force buy in this round, but you basically have to win every single round regardless, so you might as well do it against match point in this situation.
Yeah,
at least in a professional match.
Yeah, definitely. It's such a difficult one for Complexity, but you know, as we mentioned right at the beginning of this matchup, at the very least, Complexity, you know, if they lose against Astralis, it's not as though they'll expect to win this game. This is not a match that anyone expects them to win, and that's not ever. I mean, it's never an excuse, of course, for any, you know, let's say, you know, ways that maybe you misperformed or things that you could fix, you know, of course, but at the same time, it's not going to sting as badly as losing to an opponent that you think that you should beat, or you've been beating in practice, or that you beat at previous tournaments. So Complexity now trying to do what they can with a decent buy here into this potentially last round. But the issue is that they don't have incendiaries, which is a big problem on the TT side here. It prevents you from being able to control the space on the map as much, and that means that Astralis will have so much space to work with, whatever they want really, with superior utility. And dupreeh looks like he wants a fast pick, going quite deep very early on.
Match point Astralis. The ace head is just about not visible. Now, it's pretty hard for dupreeh to go beyond this position. Let's see what Stanislaw is able to do here. Trying to play with this gap. Not going to catch Device off guard. He gets one and manages to hop around the corner. That's maximum value out of that smoke.
Yeah, that's really cool. It must be a set smoke there.
Ooh, dupreeh, is he about to peek? He is. That is absolutely brutal. As soon as Ye turns away, does dupreeh assume somebody's on short? He does with that pop flash. Flashes himself as well, though, so he's got to be careful. He's got a teammate in tow on the balcony, and they start to move in towards the A site, but the bomb is still at the bottom of mid, which could be a problem for them because Shazam, as you can see, he's looking for something, but he'll get shot in the side of the head, and that's 3 frags. They should know that the B players are likely to, well, be towards B or rotating. Now down they go one by one. Didn't really get a chance to even talk about dupreeh's position, but maybe that'll have to wait for another game because they will close this one out. 16-4, Astralis take out Complexity very comfortably indeed.
Yeah, great performance from Astralis, and you know, Complexity, there's some definitely, you know, positive signs, but they didn't really have a chance to get their game going in any sense at all. And I have to say, it's really cool to see dupreeh just finding every single pick that he wanted. You know, he played incredibly well in the entries, and it's so frustrating to play against that when it feels like any move that you make, oh, suddenly you're being shot in the back, or dupreeh's finding that perfect timing when you're just, you know, rotating just slightly, just moving from one position to the next. dupreeh found all the right timings, won every single fight. I mean, it's so hard to stop that.
Yeah, and I think Complexity have to be really disappointed. Again, going back to their first buy round, it's very clear that they had some hard counters in mind versus Astralis, but they got shut down in the most savage way. They had basically 5 people moving towards the A site versus 2. It seemed clear they expected 3 people to be focusing on Banana, but they got absolutely wiped. Parler is on the gaming floor with Astralis.
I am on the gaming floor, James, joined by Astralis. Congratulations on that victory. It looked, Glaive, relatively comfortable. And that's pretty good considering that Complexity won the Americas Minor.
Yeah, they are a really good team. We started them for quite some time. We started them yesterday a lot. So I think they played really well, but I think we started to find our groove again on Inferno, and we really showed that.
Is that important for you guys to never underestimate a team. You're commonly seen as the strongest Counter-Strike team in the world at the moment, and you're going up against a team like Complexity that would be seen as an underdog in this situation. Do you make sure never to underestimate your opponents?
Yeah, I think especially teams that we don't play a lot against, we need to be really prepared, because else we can get surprised a lot. So if we play like we have played Liquid a lot, so these guys we don't need to study as much because we can remember how they play. But when we play a team like Complexity, we need to study them a lot.
Fantastic, Glaive. Thank you so much. Zipex, you are firing off on all cylinders. A great performance there on Inferno. What were the keys to victory?
I think, as Lucas just said, like preparation, and you know, it's the first game of the major for both teams, so anything can happen, and we just won.
Now, let's go back to last week in DreamHack Stockholm. You guys fell to your Danish counterparts in a sense, in the form of North. What happened there, and have you adjusted things already since then?
Obviously, we have been talking through that tournament. It didn't go as planned, but yeah, a final place is like good for us. So it's not like it's all bad or anything. It's obviously very tough to lose to a national rivalry. So, but yeah, we've been talking through, and we are fit for the major.
Nice one, dude. Congratulations to you. I'm going to hopefully move over here with my fantastic cameraman and speak to Deve and Zonix. Zonik, not Zonix, that's the German player. Yeah, so Deve, tell me about the mood in the team currently. I think it's a surprise to see you guys in this stage of the major, at the last major. You should have, been able to clinch one of those legend spots because you were still strong then, perhaps.
Yeah, the last major wasn't what we expected. It's the first time a lot of us are at the challenger stage, so we're just gonna take it one match at a time. Honestly, it's like there's a lot of great teams here, so it's of course we expect to move on, but we got to play our best, and we showed that today.
So in that sense, you're feeling relaxed and confident, but you're not taking things lightly. I know I saw you and Magisk in the green room yesterday, our relaxation area, and you guys did feel relatively comfortable with what was going on at the event.
Yeah, it's a nice event, honestly. It's really great facilities we have here, so unfortunately they had a little bit of a hiccup yesterday, but we managed to schedule the game today. So yeah, like honestly, it's a great setup, and hopefully it's going to be a long tournament, so we're just trying to adjust and feel comfortable here.
Hopefully, fingers crossed. Congratulations on that first victory. Would you like to address the fans at home?
Yeah, thank you guys for waking up early or for waiting yesterday. It's awesome. Thank you.
There we go, everybody. Astralis get their tally to 1-0 in our Swiss format here at the FACEIT Major. Alex, over to you.
Thank you so much, Parley. Yes, Astralis do what they do best, and a nice quick start to the day for everyone involved, including the players. Complexity, however, not going to be feeling the brightest after that one. Just outclassed, outgunned, as they do fall in their first best of one. Could have not really drawn a more difficult opponent, actually, to start things off, Jacob.
Nah, it's just Astralis showing why they're the best team in the world, and Complexity showing why they're not the best team in the world. I think that's a fair assessment to make. If you have to move on in the tournament, Astralis going up against Rogue now, that's going to be an equal matchup to this one. Complexity and Rogue, they're pretty equal, whereas Complexity have the honor of playing Space Soldiers with a stand-in. So it's not like Complexity is out of it at all. It's just meeting a better team that just have, I would say, better at the game in every single aspect that there is in Counter-Strike.
This was spicy from Android, though. He had a nice, he managed to catch all of those boys off guard. Of course, perhaps not the last one. Magisk just get out-aimed there. But, I mean, Daps, when you look at this game from Complexity's perspective, were there chances for this to be a closer game?
Yeah, so I think Complexity really needed a pistol round. You're not going to beat a team like that. Even just winning one pistol, you probably need both pistol rounds. You need starts to both halves, and I think the way Stan calls really requires economy. And I don't think I even saw Shazam with an op once on the T side. So I think it's just a map where they started off very slow. And you saw some bright spots. Ye had a nice entry out halls, and they took the A site. That was one of the rounds they won. Ye had an entry on Banana and killed Glaive, and they took B. They lost that round, but there was some bright spots, and Android obviously had some big kills as well.
And, of course, feels weird to ask someone who's currently actively competing, but I'm intrigued to know what were the flaws you identified. What was it that you could see that could be exploited by Astralis, or perhaps could be improved on by Complexity?
Like earlier in the match, we talked about it earlier about Astralis' nade usage. There was a round where Def had 11 HP. I think Ye was hit down to 30. They kept getting naded, trying to forced banana control. I think later in the half at like 9-2, they stopped trying to challenge it. So I think there's a lot of things they can work on, and I think even just defaulting against a team like Astralis, it's very difficult.
And just quickly poking to expand upon it, what is the counter to that then? Because we talk about, oh, the Astralis are really good at nades and you've got to be careful not to be half HP, but so do you just give them banana early? I mean, what's the counter to that?
That's the thing, right? When they have such a strong strategy, they force the other team to play a different version of Counter-Strike than they necessarily want to do. So it's one of those scenarios where, I mean, if you're playing a team who has a certain mentality, a certain way of doing stuff, and it forces you to play another game, you got to be a really, really good team and really good at adapting in order to play inside that game, right? And that's what makes Astralis such a tough opponent to play against, especially for a team like Complexity, who is, without offending them at all, it's very one-dimensional. They have what they have, and that's it.
Yeah, I see a lot of nod stabs. Does that sound about right?
Yeah, I think Complexity, as I said earlier, needed the pistol round because they did play a little gimmicky. I think all the rounds they won were off of gimmick plays or like weird entries where they just kind of ran out. So I think the way Complexity plays, they need the economy on their side to have a chance.
And you keep bringing this up. The way Stan calls, they need economy. Complexity need economy to stand a chance. What is it that Stan does that requires economy? Is it just he calls good gun rounds? Is that it?
The way Stan calls is very unique, and I think it has its positives and negatives. I think it's a less consistent way of calling, but I think the benefit of his calling as well is it's not easy to read. I think in North America, even when we play Liquid and other teams, we generally have an idea what Liquid's doing. We have an idea what Rogue's doing, C9, etc. When we play Complexity, though, there's a lot of times where we have no idea what's happening, and they're just destroying us. So I think there's positives and negatives to take from the way he calls, and I think having economy obviously helps every calling style, but especially that.
Yeah, and we can bring up the head-to-head while we have a moment just so we can see exactly how Magisk did shape up versus Ye. We called him the win condition for Complexity, and he didn't underperform as such. Just 7 frags, though, for Ye, and unfortunately for him, the thing that stands out the most, it may not be there on the head-to-head, but opening duels, he was involved in 7 of them and lost 6.
Yeah, it's not a great statistic for a guy like Ye, and he was the win condition for Complexity. We needed the rifles to be going up against the Dupree and the Magic boys, but just didn't happen. Complexity had 3 players with below 40 ADR, and that just tells you a great story of how one-dimensional this game actually was. It was just Astralis all over the place. Complexity didn't really have a chance. As you said, they had a few rounds where they got a gimmick it, open kill, and that's about it, a pistol round, and Complexity was never really close to make this a comfortable or uncomfortable match for Astralis.
Yeah, and that head-to-head was brought to you by The Predator, which is in cinemas on September 14th. The Hunt has
Are you
evolved.
going to watch it, Alex?
Yeah, maybe. Yeah. I have to see the first ones first. The first ones first.
Yeah.
Arnie, just in the jungle, covered in mud.
Is that like the Alien versus Predator type?
Yeah, well, no, the one before that, right?
Okay.
Come on, child. God, there's the Alien versus Predator, but first there was Predator. He had a cigar. He's like in the jungle, killing predators. And I am receiving word that we do have something you requested to take a look at, Daps, which was just some of those missed opportunities, right, from Complexity. I mean, we'll take a look, and maybe you can walk us through it.
For sure.
Here it comes. Abracadabra, the power invested in me.
So yeah, the first one here is the 1 versus 2 versus Glaive. I think Android had 2 very good kills before the situation happened, but as you see, they throw a flash, he doesn't get blind, and then they peek. I personally think that Android should just peek off the sight guy's contact. And then we have this blunder as well. Astralis has no armor, a few pistols, that's it, and they just run out mid and win a full eco round, and that kind of stops any chance Complexity has coming back on the CT side. So I think there was little opportunities for Complexity to sort of come back into that game, even losing both pistols. So I think it's just unfortunate, to be honest.
That was the round where they scavenged the M4, right?
Yeah. That was just timing. I think one of them pulled a smoke out lane the second they went out, and then the Halls guy flanked the guy under porch. So just a little bit of unluckiness.
Yeah, unluckiness for Complexity, and now they play Space Soldiers with a standard. Jacob, they've got a shot there.
Definitely. I think Complexity is having a great chance of winning that game. I think Space Jewelers showed it yesterday. They still can play Counter-Strike. They still have the likes of Shantaeus, Calyx, who are 2 of the very best rifles in the world. But when it comes to a team like Complexity, who still is a team and have been playing fairly decent Counter-Strike as of lately, I will count them as the favorites. But definitely a close matchup. Yeah,
and we'll see Rogue take on none other than Astralis a little later on in the day. That's up for now. But before we do go to a break, a reminder of one of our sponsors. It's epics.gg. If you want to collect, trade, and share your favorite CSGO stars, it's like Top Trumps, but for Counter-Strike people. Go check it out there. You can get it on your phone as well through Google Play or iTunes. All right, well, that's what's happening for now. When we take a break, when we do come back, though, Ninjas in Pajamas take on Tyloo as they battle for their second win here in London.